And I want to welcome you again to the people that are here at the Letting Library in Milwaukie. Thank you for coming out. We know that there is a lot of demands on our time in this day and age. And so thank you for making time to come out and hear poets and share poetry and do that in community. I want to say the same thing to those of you who have logged in. We are live streaming this event. There is going to be a recording, and in about a week, maybe to 10 days, it should be up on the Letting Library YouTube channel for viewing. So tell people about it. It will be there and will be available. And I want to welcome everyone who did log in too. So thank you very much for doing that. I've told the people here about how we're going to proceed, and I think I will go over that, which is I'm going to introduce Linda and Peg in just a little bit. They're going to read for about 40 minutes. Then we're going to have a question and answer period, and then they're going to end with a poem. So that's how the evening will proceed. The scheduled poet was not able to be here, so we are absolutely delighted that Linda and Peg were available to come, and I've been looking forward to that and hearing them read again from their book, Moon Markings. And they're going to be reading from that book, and they're going to be reading some other work that they have. Thank yous. Lots of people to thank. I go around and I'm grateful all the time. So thank you to the City of Milwaukie. The City of Milwaukie supported us from the beginning. We're in our 19th season now, and which is absolutely great. So a lot of thanks to the City of Milwaukie. Thanks to the Letting Library. So we're here. Let me ask you, how many of you, is this the first time here? Anybody? Okay. Thank you all for being here. So we have a new library. I say it's a new library because we worked on it a long time. It just celebrated its 5th anniversary. But we were in a library before that was originally built in 1954, and a lovely library, and it was connected to part of Florence Letting's house. Florence Letting donated this land to the city as long as it was a library, and so a library is here. And the old library in 1954 incorporated some of her actual home in it. It was delightful and really kind of one of a kind. But this is a new library. It really fits on the footprint a lot better, and especially a connection with the park to our north. So if you ever get a chance and have not been here, take a little time and look at the Letting Library. We will have a sign-up sheet. I think Kristen can get out a sign-up sheet for those of you who are here for the first time, and we encourage you, please sign up and join our group list if you would like to do that. I want to say a little bit about a couple of events that are coming up. Our reader in March is going to be Cindy Williams-Gutierrez, and she's going to be here on the second Wednesday of March. We have 2 special events coming up before that. This is Black History Month. We're going to celebrate Black History Wednesday, February 25th, 2 weeks from tonight. Emmett Wheatfall is going to be here. There will be an open mic. So I just encourage you, be aware of that event, and that is going to happen then. The next one is our bilingual reading, and that's going to be Sunday, March 8th. And we co-sponsor that with the Al-Mutanabbi Street Starts Here Coalition. So you're going to hear poems in English and Arabic. Some poems in English, then you'll hear it in Arabic. Some poems in Arabic, then you'll hear it in English. So that's coming up March 8th. Please silence your cell phones and telephonic devices. I want to hold that up. If you would do that, that would be great. I've been looking forward to this. Let me introduce the poets. I'm going to introduce them both. Linda Knowlton Appel, who is to my left, is an adopted Oregonian, although she has lived all around the United States. After studying in New York City and Ashland, that's Ashland, Wisconsin, She received a master's degree in library science from the University of California at Berkeley. She worked for many years in scientific and industrial libraries before retiring to concentrate on writing poetry. Her work has appeared in various publications, including Willamette Journal, Voice Catcher, and Chrysalis, Emerging Women Writers. She has also published 2 chapbooks, Latitudes of the Heart and Exclaiming to the Sky. Mothers of 2 and a grandmother, she has lived beside the Willamette River for more than 40 years. So, glad you're here and settled in Oregon, Linda. Edera, a native of Portland, that's Portland, Maine, has lived in a grove of trees in Portland, Oregon for 40 years. She is the author of 2 books of poetry, Reclaiming the Nectar and the Hum, Love is Deeper Than Distance, and a chapbook, How We Name Thee, Poems of the Motherland. Her poems have also been included in various anthologies, including The Wonder of Small Things, Poems of Peace and Renewal. She writes in community. She writes in community most mornings of the week, with gratitude for the influence and inspiration received from writing companions and her daughter Mia. Further information is on her website, so please take a look at that. We're delighted that you're here, Peg. Join me in welcoming our poets for the evening. They're going to alternate, so they're going to tell you how they're going to do that. They have something here in front of the podium, so they're going to tell you a little bit about that. And join me in welcoming our poets tonight, Linda Knowlton Appel and Peg Edera.
Do you want to stand up with me? Okay, great. Thank you, everybody, for coming. This is just great. It's just great to be here. And thank you, Milwaukie Poetry Series, for inviting us again. We read together in the summer with the musical accompaniment of a rock and roll band. And this is a really beautiful room to read in. We're real happy to be here.
We don't recommend rock and roll to our poetry.
Thank you, Tom, for all you do to make this series possible and for your generous introductions. We also want to thank David Zaworski. He's over there.
David, would you stand
up? He's waving. Hey, David. He designed this book, and he was our wise editor, and he gently prodded and poked us along the way and was an enormous, enormous help. He also was the one selling our books tonight, so he has a lot of gifts and talents. And we also want to thank Esther Elizabeth for the beautiful photograph on the cover. You can see what did we attach to?
It isn't attached. It shouldn't be attached.
Oh, that's okay. Well, there's the cover. So thank you, everyone, for being here. So to start, to claim an evening for poetry without recognition of the chaos that is in our city and our country, in the world, could be pretty surreal. So we invite you for a moment to consider how participating in any art could be an act of resistance. Here we are together in a momentary community, an evening of community, gathered to listen to words that have been crafted with care and love and hopes that others may recognize themselves in what they hear, or open to a new thought, or find some solace, some respite, or some space to breathe a little more deeply. My daughter gave me this picture. I don't know if you can see this. Can anybody see that? Oh, you got it? My daughter gave me this picture, and it lives on my desk and reminds me that every time we center what is good in the world, what is loving and love-filled, we are resisting what isn't. So Linda and I welcome you to this form of resistance.
During COVID, Peg and I began writing together. She mentioned in her bio that she writes in community, and I found that a great gift in and of itself. But we met on Zoom once a week, and at some point, Peg suggested that we had enough material to do a chapbook for our families. But that idea eventually grew into this book. And at this point, we don't even remember which poems came out of our weekly meetings and which we wrote at other times, other places, and so forth, or independently. So we did note lots of shared themes. We're going to begin with a poem that Peg wrote, but that we will read together. It is in 3 sections. I will begin and Peg will complete it. Inheritance. Number 1, the gifts. The gifts we leave, the goblets, the locket, the love letter, Grandma's silver teapot, hold potions of eternity. Encased in each passing down is no less than love everlasting. Cures for loneliness, salves for ancient bruising, spells for mending broken hearts, and the wisdom that evaded us in life. Section 2. The warning, beware. The gifts we leave that twinkled in our youth do not hold time so dearly as our youth reflected the glow. Do not give lightly. Do not give thinking they'll sort it out.
3, what's left? Sometimes our fortunes turn so jaggedly, we end our time with as little as we began. Then the leavings make of us archaeologists, uncovering the arched eyebrow over eyes refusing to fade, the too loud laugh that echoes in the kitchen, the nasty flare of temper when a plate breaks in the sink. The tapestry of linens folded by size and color, weight and feel. The pleasure in a pun, knotting cherry stems with your tongue. Impatience with wasted time. These slight and ageless things unearth the shards of the Irish landscape gleaming in your eye, the Dutch wind on your dike, your Italian terraced vineyard, your Calvinist correctness. These slight and ageless things are vessels of our histories laced with small cracks. Look closely. The cracks are filled with stories running deep into layers of generations. Each one speaks of old things, love that never faltered, healing hands, kind women, earthly angels, and some monsters. These slight and ageless things echo through the years, unheard and unseen, until we need to look for signs of everlasting love, forgiveness, and the future, until we need to hold some small thing, like flowers strewn in the December river, floating past us, sinking in time. Adjust us. Thank you. If you're having trouble hearing us, will you just raise your hand? I always think I'm louder than I am. So,
Okay. We're going to be reading poems more or less two at a time, one by Peg, one by myself, not necessarily in that order. And for us at least, those two poems, each of those dyads will have some links. The next two poems we read recognize our fathers who were brothers and greatly influenced our love of reading. You're going to start,
okay,
with.
I am. This poem is called Genetics. The grandfather I never met read like words were milk and honey, fish and brew, soup, bread, and cool, fresh water with the mineral aftertaste of moonstones on his tongue. I saw his son devour books, a stack a week as long as his arm. As we left the library, librarians shaking their heads at their first customer every Saturday morning, and his little girl dropped in the children's section like a bag of potatoes on the kitchen counter. My first best job was in a small town library. Tall ceilings, old oak tablets dark with use, and dust on every shelf like thin blankets that never wear out. Saturday mornings, pushing the big doors open, pushing the push button light switch that sometimes gave me a shock, alone with those books, sitting up again after their night off, waiting for hands that will soon reach for them, hoping to become friends. Moving the fine box from the locked drawer to the front desk, hoping I had enough change for the honest souls saying sorry for returning a late book, wondering how many times I would say thank you today, how many times I'd say, if you can't pay when you can. You can still check out more books.
One of the great things about this project for us was what we discovered or rediscovered about ways in which we were cousins. It took me quite some time. I only recently realized the synchronicity that Peg and I have both worked as librarians. And I'm going to read a poem entitled Imprinted. A lamb in the wilderness, beset by beasts, but protected by books. There she finds her refuge, her fortress. In these castles where her other families live, problems and troubles leave them unruffled and unscarred. When she lifts her eyes to look around her room, her home, her front stoop, she sees her father immersed in a book as the melee of children swirls around him, as pot lids clang in the kitchen, as upstairs someone's heels slam hard against the floor. Always, he holds a book in his hand. Daddy, home from work, well-fed and relaxed, closes his eyes and dulls his ears to everything except the mesmerizing words on the page of his book. And I suspect you'd probably all agree with me that every family holds a great place. Food holds a great place in our stories and our memories. Food that fills our bellies, fills our souls. Here are 2 poems. There are more in the book on this particular subject, but this one is entitled Honey on Toast. Hunger gnaws. Although I've eaten well, I want something more, something extra, something sweet. I reach for a thick slice of bread and slide it into the toaster. As the bread browns, the honey on top of the toaster oven warms until when I drip it onto the buttered toast, it is flowing liquid gold, a feast for the eyes. Suddenly I picture my daughter last week, rummaging around my kitchen, seeking the honey. She needs to warm it to top the French toast she's made for our Mother's Day brunch. The golden memory seeps into this moment like the sweet smoothness of warm honey, coating the rough slab of crisp toast. Now I am replete.
This poem is called Simple Love. Of all the things you taught me, the cucumber sandwich, in its plain Jane wrapper of white store-bought bread, comes back to me every summer like a migrating bird. Crisp, thinly sliced cucumber, layered on top of the mayonnaise-swathed white slice of every day, salted well, peppered a touch, topped with another swathed slice. Cut in half, not triangles like tuna. A glass of cold milk. Of all the things you taught me, I eat this and feel a soft fondness for you in the middle of my chest, a radiant warmth for a few heartbeats. Mother, it was this simple to love us.
The next 2 poems just recall a couple of family memories that we hold especially dear. Whoops, as soon as I find it. The far edge of summer. The rain has begun to fall, and this sodden morning, the sun is hidden behind clouds. I look again, remembering the cusp of summer, the gold and blue of yesterday's perfect October afternoon. Reaching to lift a translucent teacup, I almost smell again the rich aroma of ripe peaches. In the new garden, the old redwood, top lost in a windstorm, is putting forth lacy new growth, a fluttering fan of green high on the towering stump. I hear laughter and love in that afternoon as we cousins convene, seldom, so seldom, and converse with delight for hours, forever bound within the encircled arms of our mothers. We hope our daughters, too, will know the joy of these treasured connections. The loss of the green, dark treetop has opened the yard to added light. In the replanted garden, we glory in the last ripe tomatoes, the burgeoning camellia buds, and the crimson velvet of late roses. At the far edge of summer, the orange cat, basking on stones in the garden path, slowly blinks green eyes The light changes. The season shifts.
This poem is called Aunt Margaret Teaches Me About Prayer. And Aunt Margaret was Linda's mother and was truly my favorite relative. And now Linda is.
Oh, bless you.
Aunt Margaret teaches me about prayer. Years ago, I asked her about prayer. She said, I pray all the time. I pray for my family mostly. If you don't know where to start, try the Lord's Prayer. It's always a good one. I have practiced. I go to church now most Sundays, a funny place, a Quaker meeting that sings. In song and in silence, we listen to God. The prayer becomes the message. My daughter and I say prayers before she sleeps. She races through the Lord's Prayer. I solemnly try to hear each word. She finishes before me and patiently waits for the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. And she faithfully adds, Alleluia. Then we pray for what the day has brought or wrought. She once thanked God for Title IX. Last night, Aunt Margaret came again. I told her how often I recall her words, my first lesson in prayer. She asked me what I had concluded. Her voice as soft as her fine white hair, her light southern inflection, soothing any fear that there was a correct answer. I said, it's a mystery. I think I have prayed all my life, and I didn't know it. I think I can learn about this forever. So there's no real conclusion. And this is my favorite sort of thing. She nodded once and said, it's a mystery. You've been busy. Oops, I gotta turn the page here.
Yeah.
So now we're moving from the garden to death, the beauty of beginnings and endings. This poem is called Ribbons, Ribbons Everywhere. On our wedding day, I tied ribbons on our porch, my Southeast Portland version of prayer flags. I don't remember taking them down. Their tatters, wind horses galloping all over town. Once on our anniversary, I remembered this. You had been dead for 4 years. I bought ribbons, thick and thin, transparent and opaque, raspberry, indigo, lime, sunflower, lavender, carnation pink, tied them to the tree limb outside our dining room window over the concrete statue of Kuan Yin. My friends say it's a little miracle they don't fade like cotton dish towels hung on the line summer after summer. Ice storms, heat waves, days so smoky we can't go outside. Rain, lots and lots of rain. All have come through, staining their demands on everything but these ribbons. Now, I'm worried. One of those secret worries, if let out, might enable its existence, might push it into reality. But I'm telling you now, if under my care they fade, I will feel I failed. even though time does what it does. Now, it could be that I get to see them waving day and night, so I can figure out how to write the poem that convinces us that death is just a thing called the end, final, if we choose those words and don't see ribbons everywhere.
That's one of my favorites. I hate to move on from that.
Oh, this is beautiful.
Flowers on the water. We speak no words now, although we chatted idly as we ambled to the river's edge. It seemed fitting to be so casual. She hated to be the center of attention, to have a fuss made over her. But here, in her memory, we toss red flowers to float on the pewter gray water, each of us remembering our own version of her and puzzling over all we do not know about her. At 14, Queen of the May, was she shy and white, or outgoing and dramatic in a glittering tiara? Perhaps she alternated, swinging from one to the other until life pushed her toward the self-effacing. I see her now in ways I never have before, and I wonder further about her. Her father dead, she married the boy next door, struggled through the end of the Great Depression, through babies and war and leaving home far behind. I remember the odor of black tar ointment that treated the broken skin of her hands until new home and her new friendships had formed about her. Dead almost 20 years, my mother hasn't left me. In her memory, we scatter bright flowers and delicate marguerites on the flowing water. After our quiet ceremony, as conversation resumes, as friends and family leave, she lingers. From the simple flower of our youth, through the gentle recognition of our old age, she and I continue talking together. People usually ask us about how we write a poem. Sometimes it's another poet's poems, or the beauty of the surrounding world, or just the multitude of images flooding our imaginations that foster a poem in us. And we've got two poems that fit into this category. I'm going to start with a poem called To Be a Hill, which I wrote after reading a poem by another poet, a poem called Supta Viranasa, Supta Virasana, for all you yoga people, by Robbie Nestor. To be a hill. I want to lie down in silver light and become a hill, rearing up toward the sky, long and high, becoming a destination, a viewpoint, and lifting you to a new height. I want to have a core of solid rock, exposed only at certain spots, as a reminder of what lies hidden within. Over that, I want to know the bright green of grass and moss. Feel a soft blanket that comforts and cushions the irregularities, those many little hollows where seeds collect and incubate, taking root, hiding until they become trees, make shade, and sigh in the winds that play and swirl around me. I want to be a hill that invites hikes and exploration, a hill where you will seek restoration and recreation. And because you come again and again to me, My contours will be smoothed and softened. There will be rivulets from rain that falls in me. They will gather into freshets and pools from which you can drink, and I will be here for you forever.
That's such a beautiful poem. We're fans of each other's work. This poem is called Laud. You of the streak of blue cut through gray billows. You of the brilliant sun slant on shadowed bamboo. You of gold sun leaking below splintered cedar fence. You of the pearl drop on skeletal tree. You of rain dance on bathing birds, all flicker and flutter. You of the pink petal under moldy leaf. You of the cat beneath drooping fern. You of the poem and the poet. You of the long way home by moon and scent. You, the light and fire, the heat and fire, the spark in us all. Oh, and the next poem's mine.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. This poem was written for my friends Pat and Carol when Pat was in her last few days. When Carol was in her last few days of hospice care. Carol. This is called Evening Prayer for Carol and Pat. Let me stretch across the streets and highways, the river, around the curve of the bluff. We can stay. Yeah, okay, good. Okay, I think I'll start again, okay?
I think that's a good
Evening prayer for Carol and Pat. Let me stretch across the streets and highways, the river, around the curve of the bluff, right to your door. Let my hand find yours. Let our hands be soft with wrinkles and old scars, stories felt between us, yours and mine. This night, let me be your night companion, so she, your dearest love, can sleep the deep floating dreams that taste like fresh bread and butter. When you need to sleep, let my river words hush, and the night birds click softly, beaks and talons, minding their own business. Their songs quiet until you stir. When you wake to their little first songs, wake second to fresh wind, clean moss, whispering leaves, then pillow hands, sun cotton hands, soothing brow hands. Hers first, because she has awakened beside you for so many years, and you know she'll wake beside you in endless tomorrows, and your aloneness will be filled, and hers will be a badge she shines, feeling the no longer sharp edges, the patina pulsing gold.
The period of COVID, I almost hate to start talking again. The period of COVID during which we were writing also marked my husband's decline and eventual death. And this next poem is not included in the book, but comes out of that period. I expect to have my next book out late spring or early summer, and it will be included in that book. It's entitled Slipping into Bed. When I slipped into bed, your warmth enveloped me, and I longed to nestle against you while we slept. Aged and aching bodies dictate otherwise, and we rolled apart to the cooler comfort of smooth sheets and weighty blankets and the sound of your breath, the gentle swoosh of the CPAP machine pumping measured life. At 4 a.m., white noise suddenly mooed an alarm, and I reached for your exposed shoulder, cool beneath my touch. You did not stir, but we breathed together as the machine resumed its rhythmic pulse. You sleep late most days and move so slowly through the automatic, thoughtless tasks of life. Dressing takes more than an hour, but finally I hear the tentative tap of your walking stick in the hallway. You lean on the kitchen counter, breathing hard while collecting your thoughts and your breakfast cereal. After eating, you want to nap, and some days you seem to spend hours in a semi-trance on the threshold of consciousness, at the portal of life. You have little to say. You are hard of hearing, but oh, please talk to me. Tell me, what do you see?
The library will close in 10 minutes.
You going?
Good timer.
Well,
In 10 minutes. All computers will automatically shut down. Restroom facilities will close in 5 minutes.
you're up next.
I'm up.
Yep.
So my newest book is Reclaiming the Nectar and the Hum. And this next poem is from that collection. It calls to the grandmothers to help us make it to better days. It's called Please for Rosie. Grandmothers, could you teach us how to be brave enough for this lifetime? We could learn to save the moments you send us in a bravery bank, like the moments of sun and light mixing up into an elixir of strength. Like a tree banks light all summer, storing it bravely in her roots all winter. We'd bottle the elixir in amber bottles, sealed with pine green wax. Store it in the old trunk with leather straps. We'd rub with sandalwood oil, the trunks we keep behind the wall that opens when we push the third brick from the left of the painting of you all sitting in a circle with the stars bright above you. We'd do that faithfully. We'd take it on like religion. If you could tell us, grandmothers, how much we need for this lifetime and where we find more when we're running out.
So having gotten that little glimpse of what's next from both of us, we're going to do our last poem from the book, the title poem, which there's lots in the book about the women who have meant a lot to us. And this poem calls it out. Moon-marked. We're moon-marked, oh my sisters, in sunless days of late winter, at the first day of a new month, in the slow, ashen hours of waning nights. We are moon-marked, dear daughters, by blood, that internal clock ticking away and spilling forth each month while we busy ourselves in the kitchen, in the bedroom, in the marketplace. We are marked by the moon, my beloved mothers, as we follow its trail across the snow until spring brings on the planting season and we nurture and birth and at last reap rich harvest. We're moon-marked, every one of us, in our smiles and in our frowns, with belly laughs or righteous anger, as we stride forth and when we glide in the circle of the dance. And we are moon-marked when, in ghostly light, we cuddle before a fire, warm and alone, in deep consideration of our solitude. We will read you the last two poems that harken back to our introduction, the resistance that we feel, beginning with Peg's poem, "What Will You Bring to the Revolution?"
What will you bring to the revolution? Doing what a mother could do, might do, in good times, she takes a selfie, walking down the road, her baby wrapped to her chest, white puffy jacket, white swaddling. She is a small, moving mountain. The grandmothers, one more time, are gathering to take care of this wretched world. One will bring a bag of bandages and scented guavas. I wonder what she, the mother in white, will bring to the revolution. Get ready. It's almost time. I heard a sermon that claimed putting ourselves in the path of goodness would help us in the darkest time bring light, that every moment of goodness is phosphorescence. We will glow with it. As long as a single idea of good exists, evil doesn't win. Some streets are already overrun, so pack now. No time for shopping. In my bag, a pen, a notebook, dried figs, 5 whistles, and mint for tea, a Costco-sized bottle of aspirin, a paring knife, and in my pocket, a picture of my daughter.
I've lost the.
Oh, you lost the grandmothers?
It's here. I had it a minute ago. Well, that's strange. It is. Maybe we should take that as a. There we go. The grandmother's
Good.
stand.
I love this
Peg
poem.
read a new poem. This one I wrote several years ago when the protests first began. At that time, the George Floyd probably. This is entitled "The Grandmother's Stand." Behind their daughter's yellow wall, the grandmothers are standing in Portland streets, as once they stood in Argentina, as they will stand again forever in the sadness of the wind. You may not see the grandmothers, but we stand behind the protesters as witnesses of truth. You may not hear us shout, but we lend our presence to the litany of righteous anger. We can no longer run and fight withstand the fog of tear gas. But what we lack in youth and strength, we make up for in certitude, the knowledge of what's right and wrong and what it takes to save the world. Outside the Justice Center, outside the ICE Center, beneath gunmetal clouds, before a phalanx dark we stand, some in spirit, some in body. We're present at this midnight rite of pretense and provocation. One by one, sad, silent grandmothers gather to stand now and forever in solidarity. Our time is past, and yet we continue to stand and call with urgent clarity. No justice, no peace. Amen.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you both for being here. Let's give them another hand, can we? No, I'm fine.
All right.
So we're going to move into the Q&A section of the program. So questions that you have, and please give some thought to that, and I will start it off. Then I always like to ask people who they're reading and who you feel influenced your writing. So it's kind of a question with an A and a B. Here we go.
At the moment, I am reading Ada Lemone's newest book and Marie Howe's book, both of which I recommend. They're quite different, but they are both wonderful. And I read a lot of, I don't know. I think that's a question other people can answer better than I can. Do you? I don't know. I hope that I write like myself, and that you know. I guess the most wonderful thing that could happen would be in years to come, somebody says, "Oh, you remind me of Linda Appel."
My ambition. Right now, I'm reading Marie Howe also. And I've also been reading the Rattle annual journal of their chosen poems. And Rattle is a wonderful service podcast daily poem that is brought to you on your email, and they're amazing curators. And it's many, many poets who are very well known, but not necessarily the names that we all recognize. And it's a beautiful collection. So I'm reading both of those right now. And one of the poems that I read, one of the things in my last poem, there were some references in it, and one is to a beautiful poem called Summons. And I have to get the paper out to read her name again. And I will do that in a minute, but it's a beautiful poem. And then there was also something by the Reverend Nadia Boltz-Weber, and also some writing by Elaine Pagels. So those have all been part of that last poem. And what was the other question again?
Who do you think influenced you?
Oh, influenced me. Oh, gosh. Oh, you name it. Well, I'll tell you this story. This was a really amazing thing. The first public reading I did was my first book. I was very nervous. And I was at Annie Bloom's bookstore, and it Mary Oliver died that day. And I was really stunned. And of course, we all were. Mary Oliver is really, truly the patron saint of many, many people and many poets. I think she did more to bring poetry to everyone than any other poet, certainly in my lifetime. And so I brought a candle. I brought every one of the books I had, which was a large number. And they had just that day gotten in this big, thick book of Mary Oliver's called Devotions. And I couldn't light the candle. I was in a bookstore, but I put it right there. And I spoke to that. And I never do a reading without thinking about that. So one of many influences, but that particular memory of reading on the eve of her death.
Somebody else that we've been reading a lot of, Peg told me about this poet, George Bilger. He sends out a poem every day by some poet that he likes. But he himself is another very, very interesting, very accessible poet.
We're going to end the reading with a poem.
Oh,
Yes.
right.
And-
Here, hold on while I get that.
Can you get it back?
Yeah, can you get that back in? This is a poem from my first book, Love is Deeper Than Distance. And it has a long subtitle. Poems of Love, Death, A Little Sex, ALS, Dementia, and the Widow's Life Thereafter. My husband died about 14 years ago, and this poem is one of those memories that I wish everybody had. It's called Lilacs. Between the last customer and the morning light, in the parking lot of the Korean Gentlemen's Club, he picks lilacs for me. Standing high against a warehouse wall, these always bloom early, and he goes annually, covertly, in the still dark, unsure of welcome by the Korean gentleman. He fills the car. I imagine that damp, spring-scented ride home, his fantasy of being busted for pre-dawn lilac theft. The evidence transferred to the squad car, covering him and his lovely guilt entirely. The police becoming drunk on the heady enclosed amour of fragrance and driving him home, instead helping us get out all of our vases, filling them while the coffee brews. Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you very much. We have books over here. My lovely wife Jane and David are going to help sell them. So we'll take a look at the books. We have some refreshments over here that I mentioned. Please help yourself. That's what they're for. That's thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all for being here. It's been a great evening. Thank you.
Thank